CGI and blockbusters go hand in hand like bacon and eggs, strawberries and cream, or me and crippling existential dread. There are some things that just can't be convincingly portrayed without a sneaky little assist from a team of special effects goblins toiling day and night to bring all those wonderful explosions, laser beams, and Henry Cavill's upper lip to life. And sometimes it crops up in places you'd never expect. Yes, dear friends, movie CGI goes much deeper than even the smallest of details, and over the years, things as trivial as a walkie-talkie or even a napkin were not slotted into a film in as simple a manner as you might expect. So with that in mind, I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 10 movie scenes you didn't know used CGI trickery. Number 10, the air duct fall, Jurassic Park. Back in 1993, Jurassic Park's dino special effects were considered revolutionary, and even today they look pretty fantastic. And aside from the obvious uses of computer wizardry, the movie boasts several small, unnoticeable tweaks here and there that smooth out some rough edges. Shortly after the rightfully legendary kitchen scene, Alan Grant and the gang are forced to crawl through an air duct in order to escape the clutches of a vicious velociraptor. At one point, one of the kids falls through the ceiling when one of the metal panels she crawls on is busted in by a raptor. Here she dangles in midair as she clings on to another metal panel, at which point a clear shot of her face can be seen. But this isn't actually the actress who plays Lex, Ariana Richards. A stunt double was used for this shot, and when the double accidentally looked straight into the camera, Spielberg and his crew were forced to digitally add in Richards' face to rectify what would otherwise have been a blatant mistake. And the result, like the film itself, is perfect. Number 9, The Sandwich Board, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Die Hard with a Vengeance is easily the best Die Hard sequel, and some would even argue that it's the best Die Hard movie, full stop. This is in large part due to the electric chemistry between Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson, combined with the action and thrills the series is known for. And while it's hardly a showy, look how big our VFX budget is kind of blockbuster, it still used CGI trickery to great effect. The best example of this is in the infamous sandwich board scene. The board bears some extremely offensive language that, even though it was in the script, the filmmakers felt it was too offensive to have the sign paraded around all day for the duration of filming. Instead, the board was left blank and the real text was added in post-production. This also allowed some more family-friendly television broadcasts of Die Hard with a Vengeance to CGI a different, less racially provocative message: I hate everybody. And as a complicated workaround as this was, you'd never notice by watching the actual film. Number 8, The Dog Poo, John Wick. Here's the thing about films: kill as many men, women and children as you like and I won't raise an eyebrow, but lay one hand on a dog and I and everyone else in the entire world will be devastated and screaming for bloody revenge. This is of course true for John Wick, and the film simply wouldn't work as well as it did without the death of the adorable beagle in Act 1, but the film probably would work just as well without the shot of the animal's curly dollop of excrement, which, unbelievably, is 100% CGI. Yes, that doggy Duke resting on John Wick's well-maintained lawn isn't real, or even a fake plastic one from a toy shop. The movie's commentary track revealed that that crap cost $5,000 to create in post-production, since the film crew wasn't legally allowed to give the dog laxatives, and the blocked-up beagle just wasn't in the mood that day to stop, drop, and plop. The Wick series prides itself on its use of practical effects, particularly in the amazing fight sequences, so this is surprising and really just makes you wonder why this shot even had to be in the film at all. Number 7, The Tear, Blood Diamond. There are many famous stories of the crazy lengths actors will go to shed a tear, like Gary Oldman looking through family photos while on the set of Dracula after recently splitting up with Uma Thurman, for example. But those of us who don't have the good fortune of a recent devastating breakup to fall back on, it's easier just to fake it. And that's exactly what happened on the set of Blood Diamond. One of the movie's final scenes depicts a phone call between Leonardo DiCaprio and co-star Jennifer Connelly. It's an emotional moment that requires both actors to emote deep, deep sadness, but apparently the movie's special effects department didn't think Connelly looked sad enough. Near the end of the scene, you can just make out a single lonely tear falling down the actress's right cheek. But this tear wasn't something Connolly cried out on the day, but rather a fake tear the director and his VFX team opted to slot in without the actress even realizing it was going to happen until she saw the film herself. Number 6. The entire movie, Brokeback Mountain. Brokeback Mountain isn't the first movie that comes to mind when you think about mind-boggling special effects, but with no exaggeration at all, the entire movie is littered with some exquisite CGI, green screen, and compositing work. A behind-the-scenes look at some of the movie's VFX work speaks for itself. Flocks of sheep, clouds, mountains, and clumps of trees are all examples of things that were either added or enhanced in post-production, and the seamless integration of this work is so good that you'd never notice without first being told. In many shots, including the sheep, for example, the easily missable mutton in the background have been duplicated and color corrected because an insufficient number of the animals were available for the director to shoot with on the day. I guess he just had an extremely clear idea in mind of exactly the number of woolly thespians he needed for the shot. Number 5. Naked Jessica Alba, Machete. Instantly grabbing the attention of anyone who sat through Robert Rodriguez's middling action film, the shot of a quote-unquote naked Jessica Alba taking a shower looks extraordinarily convincing. But of course it isn't. The actress wore plain white underwear while shooting the scene, which was then removed in post-production. It's not like the scene was gratuitous or anything, but Alba has always been firmly against appearing nude in any movie she's in. So, shortly after Machete was released and the apparent baring of her breasts had sparked much internet discussion, her publicist released a statement to EW to clarify the whole situation. Quote, Jessica has been steadfast in her resolve not to appear nude in any films from the beginning of her career. The decision to digitally remove the underwear from the shower scene in Machete was one she and Robert Rodriguez made together, which would serve his vision for the film as well as honor her personal convictions regarding nudity. Still, I bet it was a damn fun job to be paid to be doing for the VFX team while they were doing it, and they did a damn fine job. Number 4. Tony's Speech, Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 is packed full of noticeable special effects from start to end, and with huge budgets afforded to Marvel movies, they all look pretty damn good. However, it's the visual trickery you don't see that's much more impressive, with a particular point of note being the movie's final few shots. While shooting the movie in 2012, Robert Downey Jr. suffered an ankle injury that would take him out of action for roughly 6 weeks. Rather than delaying the production longer than was necessary, the crew carried on without RDJ. This included shooting scenes that he didn't need to be in and creating a CGI mock-up of the actor for times when they had no choice but to use his likeness. The biggest example of this is the entire sequence at the end where Tony gives his "I am Iron Man" speech. Turns out it wasn't Downey Jr. at all, it was a reconstructed CGI effect with the assistance of a body double and some facial captures that the crew acquired at a later date. Marvel's actually done something like this before. Skinny Steve Rogers in Captain America: The First Avenger was created using a very similar process. Number 3. Walkie-talkies, E.T. Depending on which version of E.T. you've seen, this one might not have been in the movie at all. In the original 1982 release of the film, the famous bike chase sequence features several police officers who are there to subdue Elliot and his extraterrestrial friend carrying guns. But in the 20th anniversary edition released in 2002, these guns have been digitally replaced with walkie-talkies. The LA Times revealed the reasoning behind this seemingly needless change in an article back in 2001, where they quote Mr. Spielberg himself. Quote, "I regret that a gun was used as a threat to stop children on bicycles, and I regret that last cut, before E.T. opens his eyes and the bikes take off, of the gun coming up. And if I ever reissue the picture, I'll use the digital miracle of, CGI, to take the guns out of the cops' hands." And true to his word, that's exactly what Spielberg did. Number 2. The Napkin, the Fighter. Nobody really remembers the fighter for its standout CGI. A few crowd shots were beefed up here and there, but for the most part it's the tried and true standard of the history of cinema: what you see is what you get. However, throwing a spanner into the works of that simple ideology is a very simple shot of Mark Wahlberg holding up a napkin. An early scene finds Wahlberg's Mickey Ward trying to get a phone number off Amy Adams' character. After she writes it down on a nearby napkin, she hands it to Ward, who holds it up to show his friend. But the filmmakers weren't actually allowed to show the phone number on screen for legal reasons. As a result, the visual effects team was forced to recreate and digitally manipulate the napkin in post-production to make the number impossible to read. It seems crazy that there exists a law that made them do all that, but seeing as they had to, they did a flawless job. Number 1. Natalie Portman's hands, Black Swan. Black Swan is a very weird, unorthodox story, and so the filmmakers chose to make good use of CGI in order to amplify that feeling throughout the film. Because of this, subtle VFX moments are scattered throughout, including some stellar usage of green screen and lighting technology, but the sneakiest, least noticeable out of the bunch is a very quick shot of Natalie Portman's hands. Black Swan chronicles lead character Nina's increasing instability, and her transformation is made more scary thanks to several smooth CGI additions, including making the actress's hands more elongated and slender. This was done so well that it's impossible to tell that Portman's delicately deformed digits have been altered, and you wouldn't notice it in passing, but it's that creepy, uncanny valley, sinister feeling that something is just off about it that really kicks Black Swan into that psychologically haunting territory. And there you have it, folks. 10 movie scenes you didn't know used CGI trickery. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, catch me on Twitter at YouSlyDogU, and have a great day wherever you are. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.